We're tracking several major stories at this hour, starting with a new migrant caravan of over 5,000 that's headed directly for our southern border. I wonder who's in that caravan. This is we're learning that over 600,000 people evaded law enforcement before crossing the border last year. And get this, we have no knowledge of who they are or where they went or their affiliations. Plus, FBI Director Christopher Wray says the threat of a terror attack on U.S. soil is at a whole other level. He's warning that Hamas's actions will inspire the greatest U.S. terror threat since ISIS. But first, we begin with the White House's refusal to classify violent anti-Semitic threats as domestic terrorism. Now, the White House is being accused of hypocrisy when it comes to hatred. You should be able to call hate, hate, anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism. But when it comes to those making violent threats against Jews during a worldwide surge in anti-Semitism, the White House won't call them domestic terrorists.
The people in this country making violent anti-Semitic threats, are they domestic terrorists?
I don't know that we're classifying people as domestic terrorists for that. I mean, that's really a question better left to law enforcement. I'm not aware that there's been such a characterization of that.
So, not domestic terrorists. Well, let's try extremist.
Does President Biden think the anti-Israel protesters in this country are extremists?
What I can say is what we've been very clear about this. When it comes to anti-Semitism, there is no place. We have to make sure that we speak against it very loud and be very clear about that.
What about these protesters who are making Jewish
I've
students feel
very,
unsafe
very
on college campuses? Are they extremists?
I've been very, very clear. We are calling out any form of hate. Any form of hate. It is not acceptable. It should not be acceptable here. And we are going to continue to call that out.
Where is the gut reaction from the White House to call the anti-Semitic extremism what it is, extremism?
Well, right now they're caught between the 2.5% of Jewish Americans and about 2% Muslim voters. That's where they're caught. And I don't know why they feel like they can't do both, why they can't say to both sides, look, you guys are saying that you're with the terrorists. If you want to change your message, you can change your message. But in the meantime, America always stands with Israel. And I go back to you on this.
And with Jewish Americans, too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Exactly.
So I come back to you on this because I'm really curious. Are you as frustrated as the rest of us when we watch from the White House podium preach to daily about Islamophobia is equal to what's happening in Israel right now? They're two separate things. You can treat them equally or differently, but they are not interchangeable. Are you frustrated at all? I know when I watch, I don't understand why she can't simply answer the question that we are talking about right now, and that is, this is domestic terrorism. And if they come here and attack us on the soil, that's what it's going to be.
You're absolutely right. Listen, we need to call a spade in terms of what this is. The president has been very clear. I think, what we need to see is more moral clarity coming out of the White House in terms of their spokespeople on this issue. I think you're going to see it. And you saw the press secretary very well come back.
When it's coming up?
She clarified her remarks earlier because they fell short.
But that
and we sometimes get this wrong.
That should have been a visceral reaction. We had Congressman Moskowitz on.
Absolutely.
To underscore that. You shouldn't have to turn to the tab in your binder. You should be able to do that on command as a gut reaction, and she wasn't.